In three, two. All right, it's time to talk with our featured guest, Dr. Ella Osborne. Ella, how's it
Hello.
going?
Very good. How are you? I'm really excited to be here.
I'm super excited. This is my first time ever talking to you, but it feels like I've known you for a long time. Like we're like, stop.
I've been listening. You're actually a big part of my starting up phase, and you and the podcast you did with the monthly one with Ashley, and then the one with Sleek with Paula and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a journey, but other than that, we'll get into all that. But like first, tell me a little bit about your past, your present. How did you get to where you are today?
So I was born in Estonia. I'm a first generation immigrant. I'm Russian. Don't hold it against me right now, but it's, there's some real stuff going on.
Yeah.
But I don't. Let's not do that. And I came to the States with my parents from Estonia when I was 9. Just like your regular kid. Found my way into dentistry.
Mhm.
And then actually, when I was young, I had a really transformational experience with orthodontia myself. Because I don't know if you know Russians, we're kind of serious, like we don't do a lot of smiling often. We kind of
Yeah.
brood a lot and, often intimidating, even when we're not trying to be. So, I was this little kid, all serious with the dark hair, and I had a lot of crowding, and
Mhm.
I had these canines, these fangs way up here, and I spoke English and all of that, but you definitely feel different when you're an immigrant and you live in a neighborhood where many families are well off and you don't like really fit in that
Yeah.
well, and you don't want to smile, you don't want to talk because you really don't feel confident about your teeth. So I had braces with Dr. Brian Miller in Newton Center, like transform my life. He just did his job really, and he did it for me and like thousands of other people. But to me, it was just completely transformative. So just like changed who I was at the time and then who I became because I started smiling. I wasn't self-conscious when I was talking because, everybody could see my teeth and the fact that they weren't straight and automatically made assumptions that like, my parents didn't have money or this or that or whatever.
Mhm.
So it just turned me from this like really serious kind of kid to somebody that was really more extroverted, more personable, more talkative, more confident, all of those things. So when I found my way in dentistry, I really took a deep dive into what I want to do. And I had, I still have a sweet tooth, but I loved candy when I was little.
Yeah.
So I have my fair share of like fillings. I have, one or two root canals. I got a couple of crowns, this and that. And so I thought, what part of dentistry really made the biggest impact on me just forever? And it really was having a beautiful, functional smile that I loved. And that, people would tell me over and over again, oh, your smile is so beautiful. And it just makes you feel good. So that's really kind of why I ended up in orthodontics. And, I went to dental school, I went to residency, I worked for a couple months for one orthodontist. And then almost as soon as I opened up, not as soon as I opened up, almost as soon as I started working, I realized I wanted to do it for myself.
Hmm.
Um, I started working in July of 2017. And in October, I was calling up, hello, I'm looking for a location. This is what I want to do. Because I could just see also it was exploding. Like it was the right time to do it because of the neighborhood.
Mhm.
It wasn't necessarily the right time for me to do it in my career per se, because I really didn't have a lot of work experience or experience learning business or staff or all of the other things that you never think about when you're just being clinical. But I was paranoid that someone was going to scoop me. So
Yeah.
I had to be the first one. And, now we're here almost 3 years later, not quite. We've got a pandemic going on still. So it's been a journey.
When you said paranoid that someone was going to scoop you, what do you mean?
I wanted to be the Seaport orthodontist. The
Ah.
Seaport Orthodontist. And I went to seaportorthodontics.com, and somebody had registered that domain. And I mean, Seaport, there's a Seaport in New York. There
Yeah.
are other seaports, right?
Yeah.
But that really kind of like lit a fire under my butt, because I thought someone else was doing it. And even if they didn't have a website, they were thinking about it enough to get the domain.
Yeah.
So that is the scoop, because I wanted to
Gotcha.
be first. I wanted it
Okay.
to be the best. But in this opportunity where there was no competition, I didn't want to wait until there was competition, because now, as people come in and things like that, I already have like an established brand, the Google reviews, the social media presence, the online presence, all these things that really take years to cultivate are already there. So when competition comes in, and it will, I'm not kind of at a significant disadvantage.
Yeah. If let's just say you did that, you looked at it, Seaport Orthodontics, holy crap, somebody's gonna scoop me. Somebody did. Would you have still started as fast as you did, or would you be like, all right, now I'm gonna take some time and really like
I don't know. If somebody had already opened while I was trying to open,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm the kind of person that's like, you just tell me I can't do something, you just watch.
But nobody was telling you couldn't do it. People were telling you
Well, no,
can.
lots of people were telling me I couldn't do it,
Oh,
or
really?
like I shouldn't do it, because the rent is obscene. Like, it's really expensive here, crazy expensive. You throw me a number, and I'm gonna tell you it's probably more.
Can I
Um,
ask how much it is?
yes,
Is it like in the 10,000?
that's
Shut up. Are you serious?
yeah,
How
10K,
much?
10K.
I was just throwing a number out there.
It was 9, but in the leases it kind of goes up every year. So it's $1 a square foot a year. And it's 2,000 some odd square feet. So it's crazy expensive. And in a way, I was lucky to even get that. And even now, that's actually a deal, because it's even more expensive now, like significantly more expensive, because it's just this, everybody wants to be in this neighborhood. Um,
Gotcha. So then
so it's wild.
you
Yeah,
were
it
kind of
was a
thinking
gamble.
you were thinking not to do it, or what? I feel like what pushed you the most was like, I'm the first, I got to do this, right? That kind of put the
Yeah.
blinders on.
Mhm.
So if you would have, somebody else would have done it already, you would have been like, maybe I can shop around a little bit.
If somebody was already established, if there wasn't this like vacuum, I probably would have worked for other people for longer, or thought about going somewhere else, or going into, like, my practice is very different. Only adults. I think I have maybe 1 or 2 teenagers. They are kids of parents that are patients.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I don't have a braces practice with a ton of teenagers, clogging out my waiting room, playing video games and that sort of stuff. It's an adult, uh, only by design, Invisalign practice, not only Invisalign, but primarily Invisalign. And that was by patient demand. So I
Mhm.
built it for your traditional kind of orthodontic setup with, chairs, some partitions, divisions for privacy. But like, my thought was I was going to do like half braces, half aligners. But it just didn't work out that way. It was really a blessing in a lot of ways, but it's not how I built it. I could have gone with a smaller space, um, way smaller. Like, I have way more space than I need, and it hurts.
Yeah.
But this is where we are.
To be first. But okay, so and that's interesting. I think that's what like really attracted me just to reach out to you. But at the same time, I noticed it was I think there was a video that I saw where you weren't open yet, but how you were explaining your space, and
Oh,
it was about like how it's for dentistry. I mean, it's for adults only. And I like
it
that.
was it was that was a live that Ashley Gomes like inspired me to do, because I walked to the office. I used to live really, really close. I still live close, but not this close. Like, do not live walking distance from your work. Do not live walking distance from your office. Everybody listening, create separation between your work and your home, even if
Oh,
it's, just a 5-minute drive, something, because literally I could just walk in 7 minutes, I'd be here. It was terrible. But at any rate, I walked over and I was like, I'm going to do a live. I'm going to do live. I'm going to talk about why I'm doing this. And it really is, I need a better metaphor, but for now, what I use is this. Michael, do you eat pizza?
Yeah.
Do you go to Chuck E. Cheese?
No.
No. But if you want orthodontia, you have to go to Chuck E. Cheese.
I like that metaphor. That's a good metaphor. I like it.
I'll work on the delivery. You give me a joke, I am guaranteed to murder it. That's like one of my superpowers.
My superpowers.
But joke murdering, punchline obliteration. But it's really a shame that a quarter of all orthodontic patients are adults now, more and more and more so. Mm-hmm. And there really aren't options for adults. I don't want to go somewhere for anything when there are like 45 teenagers in the waiting room. I don't want to hear screaming babies. I love children, I do so much, but that's not what I want in my life. When I go and get a haircut, or I don't go to the barber shop where you sit in a high chair and they give you a lollipop, because that's not it anymore. But like for Invisalign, for aligners, for orthodontics, that's what you have to do.
That's true. I like that a lot, that mission statement and so far your brand. Really quick, if we rewind a little bit, when you started working in dentistry, you realized really quickly when you were as an associate that you didn't want to do it anymore. You wanted to do it for yourself, right?
Yep.
Why? What was happening where you're like this?
There were too many things I couldn't control, but that I felt responsible for. So one thing I say to residents and things like that, people are just starting to work, is really separate yourself from the practice. And what do I mean by that? You don't have control over like the appliances that are used. You have control over the type of appliances that you prescribe, but not where it comes from, not who makes it. You don't have control over your staff, your team, the leadership, the culture. So actually on my Google page, this just hurts me. One of the first reviews ever was somebody that was unhappy with the experience they had at an associateship where everybody was miserable, including me. And they said the doctor was rude and the team was unhappy and everyone was unhappy. And then in the comment I wrote, yeah, I know. That's why I opened my own practice. So if you really feel this way about that business, it'd probably be more productive to leave a comment for that business and not for me.
Oh, okay. This was for your Google. I thought you wrote it under the practices.
No, not where I was working, but Seaport Smiles. So like if you scroll all the way to the very, very bottom, there's a 1-star review saying like the doctor was rude and the team was unhappy and everyone was miserable.
That's your practice right now, or no?
No, that was where I was associating.
Oh, gotcha.
And schedules were crazy, patients were unhappy, parents were unhappy. I have to stand in front of a parent and say, hey, I'm sorry, we just spent 45 minutes trying to fit an appliance that is never going to fit because it's made like crap. Or can I say that? Can I say crap?
Yeah.
Okay. You just go like this. Actually, it's video recorded. Because it isn't made well, or the impression was done incorrectly, or it was really a bottom line approach with like totally sacrificing quality patient care and the culture and like the practice management style was just use snake oil to kind of cover up all of the issues with your charm, basically.
And then
does that make sense?
But then there was not even like you guys were so miserable that there was like no charm, right? It was like
right, exactly. So it was really like the owner had this kind of skill and ability, and they could kind of win you over, and just like they would talk and talk and talk, and suddenly you're agreeing to everything.
Mm.
And that's, in a way I kind of envy those skills, or kind of having that sort of charm, I guess. But it really just felt unethical, and dishonest.
Yeah.
And I am honest to a fault. That's like one of my shortcomings is I just can't lie.
Yeah.
And often I will say it very bluntly. And one of the things that I've cultivated in my practice is how to deliver news that isn't so palatable in a way that doesn't sting.
Mm.
Because that's, nobody benefits, but you still have to deliver the news in a way that the message isn't lost. But at any rate, I just, people were unhappy. We're short staffed all the time. Um, you know, People would show up late and things like that, and you're kind of screwed, because you still have to show up, and all the complaints go to you,
Yeah.
even though there's nothing you can do about it. It's not your business. So it was just, what I could have done better is just separate the fact, like not take it all personally, not feel like I had to stand behind every single patient and every single appliance. But this is somebody's kid, or this is, not, this is an adult, like this is a person.
Mhm.
And it just sucked. And every day was like hectic and chaotic and miserable, and there was like never a moment. And I can still actually, once I was on vacation when I was building the practice during the build out, I was in Jamaica right before I left that associateship, and I heard somewhere, Dr. Osborne. That's not what I heard, right? This was on the beach in Jamaica, but I could just hear it always, Dr. Osborne, Dr. Osborne, Dr. Osborne, because there's like 6 assistants and a treatment coordinator, and you're needed everywhere. And when it's, set up like a mess, it operates like a mess.
Yeah. You couldn't even like have peace of mind when you're out there. That's interesting.
Mhm.
I wanted to ask, you said don't live walking distance from your office. Why?
Because there's like always something to do, always. And you just get stuck in here, um, doing something, and then there's no separation often. And when I first opened, because I hadn't worked for very long, because I hadn't worked in Boston, so
Mm.
nobody knew me in Boston, like in Boston proper, and that's where I am. um, Literally across the street from South Station, like near the financial district. um, I had no relationships. I had like, no patience. And yeah, I marketed and things like that, but a lot of it just takes time. Like SEO takes time, putting out consistent content takes time, putting stuff on YouTube takes time. So like you're not going to show up. You
Mhm.
don't have any reviews yet because you haven't had any patients yet. So
Mhm.
um, you just kind of like get stuck here, and it can be really hard.
Like lonely, you mean, or what do you mean? Like hard?
um, you just like never feel like you're doing enough. Like there's always something
Um,
that needs to be done. um you know should I be putting content out? Like what didn't I do? Like at first, before pre-pandemic, I was open from basically June 1st until middle of March. I had no clinical assistant, right? So it was me and a receptionist. So if a retainer needed to be made, I did it. I did like the sterilization. I packed the instruments. I would maintain like the autoclave and whatever other litany of just like stuff that needs to be done. And like this needs to be like not fixed because it's a brand new office, but just like
mhm.
little stuff. And you just kind of fall into this hole of being here. At one point I was making my own aligners for a little
Mhm.
while because my Invisalign lab fee was a lot, and I was literally pressing retainers, cutting them out, polishing them. So that takes time. Like it all, I was being the assistant. And then you have to
Yeah.
do notes, and then you have to post payments to ledgers, and you have to make sure that it's accurate. And, just all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So you just create distance. Like when you leave, because then you leave and you're like, oh, I forgot this, or I have to do this, or, and you're like, oh, I can just run back, or, you know, you're growing a practice, so you want to be like as available as humanly possible. Like I saw a patient once at 7 a.m. because she wanted to. Sounds good. We don't open until 9 on Wednesdays. We'll see you at 7. Like, when do you want to come in? Great. 8:30. Okay. 8:30 p.m. Okay, let's just come in, because it was literally, phone didn't ring. I mean, it did, but not a lot.
Mhm.
It was just quiet. And you know, you spend all this time and effort kind of trying to create this vision of a beautiful office and amazing experiences, and then there's nobody. Right? It's like
Yeah.
all this work to build it. You know, I remember listening to the podcast with Ashley when she was talking about like construction and tiles and all that sort of stuff. And I thought that was the hard part. No, building out is easy. Once you've built it and you have like all of these expectations that like everything is just going to be magically happening straight away, even though you know that's not the case, it's still hard, because it's really like deflating.
Yeah.
It's kind of depressing, huh? Let's
No.
ask me another question. I feel like
Actually, I like this, Ella, because I mean, let me ask you. I mean, I 100% agree actually with like, there's always something to do, right? Filling out the ledgers, doing cleaning, you're doing other things because you're like, I need to cut corners here and there. Then you're like, oh my gosh, I should be marketing. I should be doing this, right? Like, there's never, when did you realize that? When did you realize you were going into a hole? You're like, you're stuck.
um, when did I pulled an all-nighter once here.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Organizing and cleaning and like putting things together. I don't remember what I did, but I was here all night once, and I was like, and I would be here late, like many, many, many evenings. And my husband was like, what are you doing? Come home. I have to do clin checks. And then you're here at the end of the day, you're tired. So it's like, you know, when you're not really that functional, but you're still trying to work, and a task that should take you 10 minutes takes you 3 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And your
100%.
brain is just like, and then you like open up social media, like, I'm just gonna, you know, take a little break, and like 45 minutes later you're like, your brain is more fried because you just stared at a screen. It's that, and suddenly you're just like, what am I doing?
Yeah. How much did that affect your personal life?
A lot.
Because yeah, like your husband would have to be like, dude, what the heck? Like, what are you really what's happening? Right?
Yeah. And he knows that. He'd be like, Sweet Pea, come home. Did you leave yet? Dinner's ready. Are you walking home yet? It was tough. Yeah.
Man. But I can understand why though, because like, I mean, rent's expensive, right? 10,000 and up. And then you want to pay your employees, you want to have that vision that you've had, and you kind of, do you compare yourself a lot, Ella?
I try not to, but of course I do. Like I see there's somebody does really well on social. She's just funny and fun and personal. Her name is Courtney Berry, Smile Pop. And she does like reels all the time, and she's doing stories all the time. And she's just funny. And I don't want to say like I low key envy that, but you know, I feel like she shows up in an amazing way, and I wish I could do that. But I stopped really thinking that, because I am who I am, and I just need to show up in a way that's genuine to me. So, you know, and that actually makes it easier. One thing I realized recently is, you know, I've been going through like a lot of personal growth type stuff. Have you ever been in a situation where you have like 17 emails that you need to reply to?
Oh, yeah.
And you're just like, and then you blink and then it's 22. And then some of them are from like 2 weeks ago. And then, oh shit, there's another one from like 3 weeks ago. Hey, just a friendly reminder, following up. And it just like creeps and creeps and creeps and creeps. And you're just, But you know what? As soon as you tell yourself that it's okay, yeah, okay, you know what? There was an email from 3 weeks ago and I didn't respond. But it's okay. Like, you're a human person, everyone makes mistakes. Then it makes it a lot easier to do those things. Once you forgive yourself for procrastinating, for, not doing things on someone else's timeline, then it's actually easier to do the tasks. And I'm not going to compare myself to somebody else that shows up in this incredible way that I wish I could do and I don't. I'm just going to do it how I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it when I feel like doing it. A lot of people I feel like are super regimented, at 8 a.m. or 8:30, I'm going to come in and I'm going to do a story, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, like very kind of strict. It feels that way. I don't know if that's actually how it is, but for me, it's really random. Oh, I feel like doing a story. In fact, like, how are we not doing one now? Oh my God, this is my first interview. This is wild that like,
She's like, how are we not doing one now? What's up, everybody?
yay,
How's it going?
there we go. So let's just kind of download that, save that for later.
And then that's how she does her.
That was not a very good one. I didn't like it at all.
Ding.
So this is like a little heart.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm like crazy obsessed with all things Korean. I don't know why. But this is,
oh, like a
so
little
it's
heart.
like a little heart. Isn't that
was
adorable?
like a snapping. Yeah. It's kind of cool. Yeah.
Like, anyway, but that's the way I do social media is, and then I have a consult company, new patient group. They do a lot of things. They redid my website. They come in, they do like training, they do like a Zoom training for like my treatment coordinator, the phone calls and things like that. They do the actual posts. So we take photos, we do content around the office, we take patient testimonials, and then we just shoot it over to them, and then they package it and they post it to our platforms. Occasionally, like, I'll do a post, but I'm not the one that's posting. I don't always like love every single thing necessarily, but they're doing it. I'm showing up, and then I'm showing up organically on stories. And the point of social for me, like especially Instagram, truly is not to necessarily get new patients.
Mm-hmm.
It's great if they do, but it's more to stay connected with my current patients, because the way my practice is set up with aligners and dental monitoring, they really like need to come in so infrequently. They come in like every 3, 4, 5, 6 months sometimes. And if they want to feel like, if they're on social media, they want to follow the office, then they can feel connected to like what's going on here and to me, if they choose to do so.
Yeah.
And then I'm not like a stranger that sees them once every 6 months.
Gotcha.
So that's sort of how I've told myself.
Yeah.
The point of it is for me. And then they'll come in and they'll be like, oh yeah, I just saw this, or I just saw that, or da 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 da, or last week you did this and that. But it really is just random.
When is it okay, Ella, to tell yourself like, be better? Like, no, that's not okay. I should have done that. Be better.
When you're like, wow, if this had happened to me, I would be unhappy. Because usually it's like a two-way interaction, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If you were on the other side of that exchange and you had the experience that person had with you, and you didn't like it, you wouldn't have liked it, then you have to be better.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I understand in that scenario, but I mean more like in the scenario of like, you know how where you're procrastinating, you're doing a lot of things. Maybe you're like, I should have done this work, I should have done that or this, but you're telling yourself it's okay, which I 100% agree. But then where is it to the extreme where you're like, it's okay, I have 300 emails, like that's fine, you know what I mean? But like, where is it the point where you're like, I got to be better?
The point, so at least in my mind, once I have like emails piling up, I get stressed out about it. And the more stress that I'm allow it to create, like the more anxiety that I give it, the least likely I am to do whatever I need to do. Honestly, regardless of the consequence.
Yeah.
But when you like, as soon as you forgive yourself for the fact that you have 20 emails that you need to reply to, you're just like, okay, I'm just going to do one, and then another, and then another. That's the point. It's just like, forgive yourself faster. Don't be like, oh my God, okay, I've got 3, it's okay. Oh, and then this one is old. It's giving you that little bit of pit in your stomach. And then now you've got another one. Okay, so now you have 2 from that one person, and they're still, and you're just like, and you just let it get worse. Stop. You know what? That's you know what? You didn't reply. It's okay.
Yeah.
Reply now.
Yeah. I really like
forgive
that.
yourself faster. Dude. Because you're human. I have a rule in my office. You're not allowed to say it about yourself if you wouldn't say it to a friend. Men more so, sorry, opposite. Women more so than men do this a lot. And not all of my patients, but I have more female patients than male patients. And a lot of them are mid-20s, late 20s, early 30s, or things like that. And I hear things like, oh, I'm so stupid. Or, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. I'm such an idiot. Or, and it's silly stuff, you know, like silly, literally silly things. I can't even think of them. You know, I left my hat at home, or I'm just saying that because I'm looking at your hat. Or like, I spilled coffee on my hat. Oh my God, I'm the worst person alive. Would you say that to your sister or to a friend, to somebody you care about? Will you have that reaction with somebody else? Or like, you know, once in a while, my treatment coordinator will like miss an email, or like read really quickly and, you know, skips like 3 words that totally changes the content of whatever it is she's reading. And I'm pulling this out of the thin air because that's not necessarily the example, but little stuff. And she'll be like, oh my God, Valeria, come on. Because it's when you put like all this crazy stress on yourself to be perfect, and then you fail because you're going to fail because nobody is perfect. Good things don't come from that. So be just as kind to yourself as you're going to be to other people. Forgive yourself faster, because you're never going to be perfect. But if you get down on yourself for those imperfections always, then you're just going to create so much anxiety that you're going to get into a ball and never come out.
I like that. Forgive yourself faster, man. That's really good. So like, because at the end of the day, do you ever feel at the end of the day, Ella, where you're just like, I did everything that I was supposed to do today?
Never.
Right?
Never, ever, never, never. Where's my punch list? Like, I have a punch list. No joke. I still haven't filed my corporate taxes. I haven't.
Yeah.
And I have it all organized. I'm sent to my CPA, and I might have to pay a little bit of money because he may or may not have to file an extension, and that's on me. And it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great. I was definitely way more organized as a resident. Like, really just everything was like anally tight. But then the more you do, the harder it is to keep everything organized, at least for me.
I think that's just in general, like for everybody, right? Like the more you do, that's why you got to like prioritize, or just have a priority and then hierarchy from there, right? Like go lower. Man, this is really good. Okay. I want to ask you like a couple questions. As far as when it comes to your business, when did you open? How many years have you been open?
We opened June 1st, 2019. So it's been, it'll be 3 years in June.
And in the middle of the pandemic, were you like, what the heck? Should I just close this down?
No.
Never?
No, actually, I'm in the hole. Are you kidding me? I can close it. I would have to file for bankruptcy if I close it.
Yeah.
It's like, I personally guarantee the lease for a couple more years. That's the condition of the lease. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I have an SBA loan. I guess if you default on that, I mean, it's going to destroy your credit. Like, no.
How was it then? How was actually,
it? As funny as it was, I I took a course, like a day course for my then receptionist to teach her more about like Invisalign and things like that because she
Mhm.
had no dental background. And I saw a technology there called dental monitoring by the ortho doctor that was there, David Wald, who's just so organized and so brilliant. I think his
Mhm.
parents must be both like accountants. And his systems are tight and everything is, but I'm sure he has hiccups just like everybody else. But he uses a system called dental monitoring, and it is where you virtually, with AI and an app and little retractors, patients scan their teeth and you can see how their treatment is progressing.
Mhm.
So in December 2019, so literally just a few months before the pandemic, I onboarded this product, and then I put a bunch of patients on it. And then every single patient that started thereafter was on this software. So I knew how everybody was doing clinically. So even though I was closed for 6 weeks, the only patients that were really affected were two patients that were in braces.
Really?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And then the only thing that really I had to change in my systems is I started giving everybody all of their aligners on the front end. And we actually have bags.
Mhm.
For those of you listening, these are the bags that we give out to our patients. They have
Nice.
all their aligners in them, and the start kit, the dental monitoring box, a little bag with like, toothbrush and this, that, and the other thing, their chewies and so forth. It's like they went shopping.
Yeah.
Because during the pandemic, I had to ship them to people because I would store them in the office.
Oh, okay. So
And
you
I would
just
give out, yeah.
you pivoted, right? Like pivoted a little bit more and more. And is that what you're doing now the whole time? Like technically, just doing the
What do you
same
mean?
thing?
Yeah, same thing. Patients come in, they get their attachments on. For those of you that like do aligners and Invisalign, things like that. And then the assistant places the attachments. We do the first scan with them. That's the assistant as well. And then every week they take a scan, they change their trays. If we see that there's something isn't going right, then we can message with them. We can circle pictures in the app to send to them, just like, hey, you got a no-go, which means stay on the same liner. Here's the tooth that's kind of needs a little bit more time to work, so we can point it out to them. And I think eventually DM dental monitoring, they'll have part of the software will be like teeth can just be outlined
Mhm.
by the software, so we don't have to manually do it.
Dental monitoring, you said, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
unreal,
interesting.
like life changing. That is how I have a staff of two.
Wow.
That's it.
For an office and assistant
An
or
assistant, yeah.
got you.
So like because if you do all aligners, then it's just faster because
Mhm.
it's kind of like a self-driving car.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
plan your trip and then I don't know, I haven't driven a self-drive, but you could drive and it drives you and then you watch
Yeah.
just to make sure it all goes to plan. But you don't have to be driving. And with braces, you're driving because they're coming in once a month. You've got like all of these instruments that you need to deal with. It's just much more. It's analog.
Yeah. It's efficient. Very, very good. Awesome. I like that.
Yeah.
So then right now, currently, how many new patients are you getting a month?
Let's see. I actually was just looking at those numbers.
And at the same time, like what are you doing for marketing and advertising?
So marketing and advertising, we don't do paid advertising, but we have videos that go out onto our YouTube channel on a pretty regular basis. And we just have social media that goes out, and that's pretty much it.
And that's where everybody finds you?
Yeah, I mean, where do people find us? Google.
Mm.
Let's see, Google or dentist refers, and we're about like half and half, so to speak. I have like 4 or 5 like really consistent referrers, and they're great. So let's see, February we're at 24 new patient exams. January we've got also 24.
It's pretty good.
Let's see, December 25. It's about 25.
Yeah.
And our close rate's about 63%. I lost you
Okay.
here. There you are.
Okay. No, no, no. That's really good. That's really good. 63%. And then So then you said mainly it's half and half, right? Google and referrals.
Yeah, pretty
The
much.
people who you
Word of
build.
mouth. So like patients referring patients, we have some of that as well. Definitely. Like some spouses and cousins and things. Those things take longer to build
Mhm.
because it's they have a good experience and then they tell somebody, but they need to not necessarily finish their treatment, but they need to kind of be in your thing for a while, and then when they hear, oh, so I want Invisalign. Oh, let me tell you about my awesome orthodontist. But that's not a pay-per-click situation. It's slow.
Mhm.
It's really slow. It's annoying. But it's just, you reap what you sow. So if you're gonna throw money at pay-per-click, then you're gonna get shoppers. People will show up, people won't show up. They're not really like invested in you, and you're not investing in the marketing,
Yeah.
right? You're just
Mhm.
like, I'm just going to throw money at it and see what happens. And
Yeah.
that's like spoiling your kid and giving them candy for dinner. What do you think is going to happen when that person's an adult? But it's easier to spoil your kid than to be really diligent with discipline and all that stuff.
Yeah. I like your metaphors. They're pretty good. Every single one's been
Thank
really,
you.
really on
Oh,
point. Yeah.
oh my God.
You're like, I know. Thank you.
Oh,
So
you're so
throughout
funny.
throughout this process, one of the last questions I kind of want to ask you is, I guess from the moment you decided to own your own practice till today, what's been like the biggest struggle or fail or pitfall? One of them, or all of them, but one of them that you can think of.
Well, good stories always start with failures. Um, HR, not being really specific and really diligent about HR things. And what I mean by HR, yeah, I had a PO company that took care of it. I'm doing air quotes for me. There's an office manual that they sign that's pretty standard, but like not having a very specific outlined
Mhm.
procedural manual, but also time off requests, sick time. When does PTO start to accrue? All of these questions that people want answers to, and rightfully so. This is their livelihood. I think sometimes we forget that this is how people feed their families,
Mhm.
and this is how they have a roof over their head and how they pay for their internet and all of that. So we're not just small business owners. We are responsible for the livelihood of people. They're also responsible for that livelihood as well, because they have to show up and they have to do a good job. But I'll own up to it. It was really, I'm so mean to myself sometimes. It was pretty lazy and disrespectful not to have that planned, like really diligently sorted and explained to people.
You said you hired a company to do that for you?
Um, yeah, so they're the company that is, I got rid of them recently, but they, Oasis, it's a
Oasis?
paychecks company.
Oh.
They're a PO. One piece of advice, critical piece of advice to anybody thinking about starting up anything or just in life in general: do your own due diligence. Do not be like, oh, someone I know that's successful and has it together uses this company, and I'm just going to trust them because they know what's up, and use
Mhm.
that company too. Because so many things are not what they seem. And just because it's the right decision for them doesn't mean it's the right decision for you. So like I did that with my software,
Yeah.
and a year later I switched, and it was expensive to switch, but I had to switch because everyone I knew used it and it worked fine. So I'm going to use it too. Do your own research. Don't be lazy and don't just trust what other people did and it works fine for them, because maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but it doesn't mean it's going to work fine for you.
Yeah. I feel like we do that a lot. We tend to like go on these Facebook groups and stuff like that. And we're like, everybody else is using them. Let me do them. Right.
And we do it too, exactly.
And then we do it. And then we're like, this is what is happening. Why is it working for everybody else? It's interesting.
And it's and I say this to patients and dentists. They're like, oh, I don't go to the dentist because I don't like my dentist. A dentist is just like any other relationship you have. You don't marry the first person you go on a date with. You don't, you get to know them for a while before you make a commitment. So if you're not vibing with somebody, you're not vibing the hygienist or the dentist or whatever, go to another one. That doesn't mean you stop going to the dentist. And if you get divorced, you can get married again. I have done it, right? Like, it's fine. Like, own up to your mistake and then cut your losses as quickly as possible. That's another thing people do sometimes is, oh, I don't want to be mean. It's not nice. I don't want to da da da. Listen, you got to do what's right for you. If that relationship isn't working, terminate it in as professional and nice way as you can, but that's what you need to do. Do not drag it out, because it's only more painful, only more expensive. Just deal with it.
Yeah, I like that. Ella, thank you so much for being on with us. It was a pleasure. But before we say goodbye, can you tell our listeners where they can find you?
At seaportsmiles.com on Instagram. Send me a DM. In Seaport, Boston, on Summer Street. And is that what you mean? Like geographically or on the internet?
No, I meant like social media, if you want to let people know geographically, but like social media, anything like that.
Instagram is kind of the primary way. And we're on our website, seaportsmiles.com, but just DM me. And if I don't respond, DM me again, because it goes into a funnel, and then I'll see it and I'll be like, hey, what's up? I might send you a selfie.
Awesome, Ella. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. All that information is in the show notes below if you want to reach out to her. And Ella, thank you so much for being with us.
Amazing.
It was a pleasure.
So much fun. Soon. Thank you for having me. Be well. Bye.